So now let us come together for our prayer for humanity. Coming together under the star, under that symbol of perfect balance, symbol of the Christos, symbol of that I am in the heart. And it is from this beautiful, warm and tender place that we send out the light. So let us remember our great need in the world. We seek to still our mind so that we come into a place of peace and deep stillness, drawing closer to God in prayer. Let us open our hearts to the power, love, and wisdom of God. By the Christ light and love in our hearts, we call to the great angels of the Christ star circle. Being still, we feel their presence and their power. And now with all the will of our minds, with all the love of our deepest hearts, we send forth the light. We send it forth as a great star of light, a blazing star, a star of the Christ light, lifting all hearts into the eternal heart of God. By all the power of Christ within our hearts, we send forth the light to the world. We hold our beautiful planet in the healing light of the Christ star, and we hold within this healing ray the soil, the waters of the earth, the air, sun, and all of nature, especially the human and the animal kingdoms. We hold in the heart of the Christ star the soul of the Americas, the soul of the people of the Americas. May the light of the Christ star shine through the hearts and minds of all the people of the Americas, to bring healing to mankind and a deep reverence for all of life. And now let us hold within this great healing star anyone known to us personally who may be in need of help or healing. Just see them perfect in this light. Across the world, as well as the individuals. Beautiful healing light enfolding and upholding. And we thank Thee, Lord, for Your presence and for the blessing of Your healing grace upon these, Your family. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. The healing circle. Let us open our hearts to the Christ power, wisdom, and love, as together we call upon the angels of healing to please draw close. As we come into the soft radiance of this love, and as we focus and hold the healing light of the Christ star over. I gave this a little thought, and I want this healing prayer today to be for all of us regarding the false identity that we all hold here on earth that tells us that we're something that we're not. Tells us that we're only flesh and blood, that we're superficial personalities, that we are of limited circumstances, and that for the most part, our life isn't the way we wish it to be. My prayer is that we, each and every one, by the grace of God, take a giant leap out of that little self into a much greater awareness of who we really are, that we are each a son and daughter of God. And once we understand that, all things become possible. All conditions then can be healed. With our Father and Mother God, indeed all things are possible. Jane has chosen for reading from White Eagle, an inner teaching, September 16th, 1936, which is as relevant today as ever. It's called How the Future is Foretold. Divine Spirit God, thou who art all-pervading love, we bring into this holy place, into the rays of light, our humble hearts. Thou alone knowest the cry of thy child, O gracious Father. May we be worthy to receive the great love which thou dost pour upon us. Give us through thy gracious Spirit the heart of peace to know that in thy great universe all is law. All is working a great purpose out in human life, so we may resign ourselves into thy loving care. But may we also have the inspiration and the vision to create according to thy beauty. That was the opening prayer. Greetings, my beloved ones. Try to take hold of this thought at the outset, that all the universe is working towards ultimate perfection, to ultimate godliness. You are dismayed with the suffering and the cruelty of man, but could you look from the mountaintop of spiritual understanding, you would be overawed with the beauty of God's creation. Always keep this as your star, then, and allow it to guide your life, because today is eternity. Those vibrations which you set in motion today are your future. Take fast hold of this ideal of truth and beauty and loveliness throughout life, and you are creating your tomorrow. What you endure today is the vibration of yesterday, so today is eternity, since it reflects yesterday and creates tomorrow. Life is vibration, and the vibrations set in motion yesterday, and when we say yesterday, we mean what you call the past. These reverberate through the ether and come to settle, if I may use that expression, today in your life. Therefore, yours is the power to create the future, and in this sense, you are the captain of your ship, the master of your soul. But also there is destiny which shapes our ends. These two quotations on the surface appear to contradict each other. If one is captain of his soul, how can there be another destiny to shape our ends? It is natural to feel that one is the captain, and the teaching of the spiritual planes of being, no matter through what channel, also directs one to take command, directs the ego, the God urge to take command and to captain one's life. Yet, people say, oh dear, it does not matter what I do. I am frustrated. I know all these things to be true, but look at my own life. You see the sufferings of apparently innocent people, and you ask, why should children be left fatherless or wives husbandless? Why should any mother's heart be wrung with grief and anguish over her young lamb? Is this a God of love, demonstration of the power of God? Does God inflict this suffering? No, God does not. There are eternal laws which cannot be broken or thwarted. They may apparently be violated, but as the ship plows its way through the darkness of the night on the ocean, so these inexorable laws of the universe hold fast upon their way. We do not want to over-dramatize our theme, but rather, by understanding, to lighten your way. But it is useless to flit from flower to flower like the butterfly without making due provision for the aftermath of the butterfly's existence. You will ask, if the future is already planned and ordained, what is the use of making any effort to alter it? We may just as well drift through life if destiny is unalterable. Today creates tomorrow. Your destiny lies in your hand. Glancing back over yesterday, we see that certain vibrations were set up as a result of actions. We know that there is a law, one of the 5 fundamental laws of life, the law of cause and effect. We take it for granted that most of you here know that the law of rebirth is true. Otherwise, we cannot give any explanation of how the future is foretold. In previous lives, in yesterday, seeds were sown or vibrations were sent forth into the ether. I cannot go into all the marvelous details which result, but vibrations penetrate the astral and the spiritual worlds and set in motion certain forces which are drawn back again to the sender. Much as the radio waves travel through the ether and return, and that ego is drawn again into certain resulting conditions of life. Here we can couple this with the influences of the planets, although many think this is rubbish, that the planets can influence human life. There is nothing useless in the universe. Planetary forces are drawn to the central point, the ego, and so follows a rebirth of that ego, of the seed in the very soil which will best help that seed to grow and to send out finer vibrations for the future. These vibrations reflect pictures on the ether. Your moving pictures provide a mechanical, material demonstration of the power of the unseen, as do also your ordinary photographs. Your life today is like your little camera which takes pictures, which registers. So do you also set up on the screen of the ether incidents which are likely to happen. The vibration of yesterday on the ether is reflected today. The vibrations of today will be reflected on the future life, not necessarily in the spirit life, but in incarnate life. And so yesterday, today, and tomorrow, in a sense, truly are all one. We said that there are no such things as accidents. No, what appears to be accidents are the result of underlying causes. The result of that cause may come quickly or be delayed, but they will come. I'm not going too deeply into this one because it is probable that your questions will amplify it. What is to be will be. What a fatalistic saying, but do not forget that other powers which declare I am the captain. This may take a long time according to your idea of time, but surely as a man sows, so will he reap. And nothing is lost, and there is no injustice in life. Vibrations are set up as a result of actions, but you are thinking. The actions are apparently the result of thought, and so how are they going to reflect in the future? The answer is that it is your reaction to those events today which create the vibration, the soul vibration, and not merely what you go through. Again, it is your reaction which creates brightness or otherwise for the future. Another suggestion: when vibrations are sent forth, they return again to the sender, and the result of these actions sinks into the very fiber of the being, so that the bloodstream contains the vibration of the past. So eventuate indications such as the lines on the hand. How can one read anything from the lines on the hand, you ask? A divine law causes these lines to be as they are. They are reactions showing the profound effect which the past has had on the soul vibration, and thence to the bloodstream and the formation of the hands, the feet, and the head. Indeed, characteristics are impressed upon the whole being. Therefore, you can sum up an individual by his speech, attitude to life, the way he dresses and writes, his gait, his habits. All these present a picture to you, and you know that certain traits of weakness or certain strengths, given their natural course, are likely to produce a certain result. It is obvious, you say. It is a simple demonstration of a deep law underlying life. Sometimes one who is a prophet, in the lesser sense, will look into the mirror of the ether and will see an uncertain or blurred picture. Another time, the picture shows itself as clear and definite. Sometimes the ether, or shall I say the etheric fluid surrounding the individual, is tumultuous. You can imagine what a reflection a rough sea would produce. Therefore, there would follow a certain amount of difficulty in interpretation. In other cases, when the individual and the etheric fluid is steady, there shows a very clear picture. This fact applies both to the one who is being told and also the seer who is looking into the future. This accounts for failures to interpret clearly a certain amount of confusion. The great thing to remember is that above all and through all is the supreme law of love. It rules. That there is that loving care and watchfulness which always guides and helps the ship into harbor. All is well. That which lies before you is for your ultimate good, because although you have created conditions which mean perhaps suffering or maybe joy, the ultimate is perfectness and union with the beloved. Do not worry about events of today in this day of your life, but concern yourselves with sending forth from your innermost vibration of love and beauty to create the future. Today is important only insofar as your reactions to its events creates for the future growth and harmony. And that's our reading.
I remember years ago, Lawrence standing up here and said, well, I don't really need to say anything because the reading says it all. And that's probably very, very true. The reading does say it all, but there are a few comments that go along with it. One of the things I was thinking about, we've got a Zoom course coming up called The Journey Home, which is about death and dying. And one of the things that, thinking of the law of attraction again, that will take us where we are going, is our habitual thought. And so I wrote to our little group before we begin and said, start tracking your habitual thought. It's quite an interesting exercise, knowing the number of thoughts that speed, and I've forgotten what it is, so many thousands a minute, thoughts that speed through our minds. And yet, what is the habitual? Is it a positive? Is it negative? Is it critical? Is it joyful? It's a good exercise to do, if you can remember to do it. So, we're often reminded within the body of so many teachings worldwide that all is ordered by divine law. All things work together for good for those who love God. Yet where does that leave the average man and woman confronted on all sides by conflicts of thoughts, differing ideologies, and of course everyone's personal opinions? In our reading, White Eagle said, life is vibration. The vibrations set in motion yesterday or in the past reverberate through the ether and come to settle today in your life. What is vibration? Vibration is thought, it is word, it is deed. It's everything we do sets up a vibration. In other words, each of us is responsible for how we think, act, and live. This understanding echoes our perception of the great law of the Master Jesus. As we sow, so shall we reap. Sometimes called the law of cause and effect, or using the Eastern word karma. Hermetic law states, every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause, everything happens according to law, chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Seeing this divine spiritual law of sowing and reaping, perhaps we wonder if everything that happens is ordained in a certain way by God, and so why on earth should we bother to strive? We're told today creates tomorrow. Our thoughts and actions right now are setting up their own vibrations or cause, and this goes out into the world, and when it does, we are responsible for its effect. That's quite a sobering thought, isn't it? And eventually, that which we have affected or caused must by divine law return to us, the sender. So our past shapes and creates our future. So we can feel very blessed in many ways and give gratitude for all the gifts we've received along our road of life. Being creative beings, our collective thoughts and actions create good or otherwise in the world. If you think about it for a moment, a war results in the collective thoughts of anger and hatred amongst many people. And eventually it reaches a point where it explodes, and it explodes into war. And so we can do the reverse. We can have things explode into peace. A peaceful nation is the result of the collective brotherly thought of all the people. We have the opportunity to create our future from this moment on, and it can be very, very beautiful. There's a man called the Reverend Dennis Merritt Jones, and he said, "The universe is continually conspiring for your good when you are available to consciously participate in the process." I'll read that again. The universe is continually conspiring for your good when you're available to consciously participate in the process. Your life, he says, is an expanding universe which can only do for you what it can do through you. It can only do for you what it can do through you. How awake are we? Each of us must continually, eventually, become a conscious, willing channel for good, for God. So-called luck, good fortune, and all of the life's blessings come as a result of the seeds which we have sown or drawn to ourselves, and the infinite blessings of God which surround, enfold, and encourage us. There are no accidents. Those of you who have, along with myself, took the Mystic in Training course, this understanding was also shared. There are no accidents. Everything happens according to law, even if we don't know the law, and even if we don't like the law. Each significant incident in our own personal life is perfectly ordered And we have drawn these experiences of this growing learning process right into our daily life. And this is the key word, willingly and purposefully. So really that takes out all the complaints, doesn't it? When we know everything that comes along we've asked for. This doesn't mean for a moment that we go hide under a bush and wait for the results of our errors to return, hoping to avoid them. Here is our golden opportunity to ride right above the effects of that which we have negatively sown. And there's no thought of being bad. You know, these are just mistakes, or errors as they're called. So by our reactions and understanding of the beautiful pathway before us unfolding in its own perfection. I'm sure all of us have been through things in life where we look at in the past and think, I wouldn't be where I was now if this or that hadn't happened, or if this suffering hadn't occurred. It makes us look beyond the present moment into our divine self. So each of us has a life plan or a destiny, and the manner in which we respond to that journey towards our destiny will either result in a happy and productive life, or one that tends to get stuck in the challenges which it has chosen. If a loving and understanding response can always be brought to the fore, whatever we find that is happening around us, life tends to flow much more easily. Much more easily. So the future is all about the present and how we respond to it. And that which is now in our present is a reflection of the past. And I think most of us would say it's pretty darn good. So immediately we set our sights upon responding every moment as best we can, according to that law of love, we're creating a most beautiful future, not just for ourselves, but for all life upon the planet. For remember, our thoughts are vibrations, which certainly don't stop at the wall of our house or the wall of our temple. They go on and on and on. So fundamentally, the law of brotherhood must always be respected. You know, when White Eagle gave this reading, he was asked several questions. And one of the questions he was asked, and of course it's all in this rather old-fashioned language, the larger number of people, because of ignorance, can only grow weeds in their garden of life. What about them? And so White Eagle's response was, you can only see the surface, and what you call weeds may in reality be flowers. It's not possible for one to get a clear picture of another person's garden of life. Now, with regard to those souls who not the knowledge, there is something within every soul. No matter who it is, there is God within every person, like an urge or a light. And he can respond, and as soon as he does, there is light and peace. Compensation comes to him in his life, in his inner self. Remember, our beloved, that all are at different stages of evolution, and there are those who are on the very outer or materialistic circle, and they cannot possibly remember because they're so far from home. When the soul turns inward again towards the Godhead, the divine light within him, he begins to open up these senses which will bring him memories. All who are present here are moving inwards. Therefore, your consciousness will gradually quicken, and you will pick up the fragments of your past. But the man on the outermost ring, in very material conditions, has to deal just with those material conditions and no others. But there is always that within him or her who will take him far. Bear in mind always that the law which causes suffering is really at work to bring you into joy. It is only through experience and suffering that the soul can be awakened to the consciousness of that beautiful divine love inside him. One of my favorite people was brought to mind recently, Václav Havel, poet, playwright, and the first president of the Free Czech Republic in 1993, after the fall of communism. He suggested that whatever we do consciously to make a difference in life is doing something, whatever its result appears to be. Let's not think of results or outcomes. He said, hope is an orientation of spirit, an orientation of the heart. It is not the certainty that something will turn out well, but the conviction that something makes sense, no matter how it turns out. Just do it. So our thought will always envision a future which is ordained by Almighty God, and whatever appears to us on earth, we only see a speck of its grandeur and magnificent possibilities. And so we keep quietly on, creating in our own personal and collective way a very glorious future, which we are at this moment. So let's hold to that beautiful vision of the future, that golden light which pervades and surrounds all of us, which is part of our life, which we so often neglect, looking at the outer illusion of the world. So we bring our thoughts, minds, and all the goodness within us, we focus on in our heart. As we prepare now for our communion, our union with God, into that very quiet, still center that knows no disruption, no inharmony, just holds the stillness of God. And so as our vision opens, we behold the essence of the Lord Christ, the essence of his love, love beyond any understanding of human, divine love. And this is expressed through the gifts, through the bread and the wine, that bread of life. And he raises the bread to the heavens, and the light pours in, and that sustenance is then shared with each one of us as we take and eat of the bread of life. It's beauty, strength, resolve. And then from his heart, he brings forth the grail cup filled with the wine of spirit, this golden light, that same spirit that courses within our veins, in our bodies, which resonates with the divine spirit within. And so he offers the cup. We may take a sip of the wine. We take and drink deeply. Strengthening that divine spirit within us. In the silence, we absorb the light. With a deep sense of thankfulness, we honor God within, the graciousness of spirit, and the blessings which abound within all our lives. Amen. Amen. Amen.